Wouldn't it be great if everything did work out? You see, I believe that we were all created for abundance. I believe that we're all sovereign by nature. I believe that you are magnificent. Do you? Welcome everyone to Collective Consciousness. My name is Ray and I am your guide in expanding your consciousness. The whole purpose of this show are for individuals who are struggling on their journey to self-mastery. So if that's an individual like yourself, take this moment right now and smash the subscribe button down below and also give this video a thumbs up. Today we are talking about 3 steps to improve your self-worth. Let's get started. First, we have to kind of talk about what self-worth is. You know, for the longest time, I didn't even have self-worth. I was living based upon other people's expectations of what I thought I should be. You know, I wanted to make my mother proud. I wanted to make my father proud. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be appreciated. I wanted to be seen, noticed, right? And for some reason, we attach ourselves to negative experiences in life in order to protect us from them happening again in the future. But the truth is, the more you attach yourself to an outcome, the more you create that outcome in your life. For example, when I was in kindergarten, this kid called me fat. And my entire life, I struggled with my weight and my identity because I thought that pretty girls were skinny. How many of you women can agree with me out there? You know, and because that little kid called me fat back in kindergarten, that stuck with me. One time, that's all it took, one time. And now you've created this identity about yourself that I'm fat. Now I'm insecure. Now I am covering my body and protecting myself from standing in public because I think that everyone else thinks about me that I'm fat. And the truth is that's not necessarily true. And that's part of the reason why I stepped into changing my identity. Look, I'm gonna tell you another story before we get into the lesson for today, but I think it's important for the message. You know, my entire life, I've been known as Tiny. Tinika was the name I was given with. It's a combination of my mother and my father's name put together. And I have always lived with that name. I love that name, actually. But I've noticed that I started to attach a lot of pain, a lot of trauma to that name. You see, my first memory in life had to do with a domestic situation between my dad and my mom. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that, but that was traumatizing. And ever since then, all I ever wanted was the approval of my father. Now, my father left for about 10 years, moved to California, and you know, I was left with me and it was me and my mother, and you know, we started a new family and it was great. But I missed that. I was longing for that. So when he decided to come back into my life, now it was like, oh, dad's here, right? So all of my attention went into pleasing and looking for that approval from dad. And that began to manifest in my relationships. And I started to be attention seeking in different relationships. And what ended up happening was I ended up in relationships that were domestically abusive, were emotionally abusive, and I remember myself wanting that for whatever reason. And the reason is this, because I did not have enough self-worth to realize that I deserved more. Now, it doesn't matter how many people tell you you are worthy or you are amazing or you're great at this. If it doesn't match exactly what you have in your mind, you somehow are seeking for it, right? Think about it. Like, I could have friends, my mother, or women all the time tell me how amazing I was, but I was looking for that in a masculine energy. I wanted a man to tell me, to recognize, right? To fill that hole. But the thing is, you don't fill the hole from outside of you. And that's what we do. We find substances to ease the pain and to guide us through, when really the answers belong within. So I started growing in my spiritual journey. I started to realize that I had to expect and demand more for myself and for my life. So I did that. I decided to step into my purpose. I decided to love myself more. I decided to begin my healing journey. Fast forward, I don't know if you guys follow this channel. If you're new to the channel, if you're new, welcome, thank you, I love you. If you follow this channel, then you know that my father transitioned during the pandemic. And in that, I had a lot of forgiving to do before he left. And I'm so grateful that I did, because we were able to heal those wounds. But the truth is, it never came from him. The approval, the acceptance, the appreciation. I had to step into that space first. And so I ended up moving. I lived in Vegas for about 5 years as I found myself, and I ended up moving back to the Chicagoland area. And my father transitioned. And in that, with him, my grandmother and my grandfather transitioned as well. So it was like a lot going on. But in that process, in that moment, I felt kind of stripped. I felt a little naked, because all of those limitations and excuses that I had, well, I'm this way because of my dad, or I'm that way, I was healing from those things. But I also had to realize that I was in a space where none of those things were even in this physical plane anymore. So what is holding you back? And I want you all to hear me here. What was holding me back wasn't the fact that I was attention seeking because of what my father did when I was a child. It's because I didn't have the self-worth to realize what I actually deserved. And so I started to really think and dissect and take this apart. And I really stepped into setting boundaries and utilizing my throat chakra and expressing how I feel and not allowing anyone to disrupt my peace, right? And so in that space, I've been on my spiritual journey. I learned about etymology and the power of words. And I started to realize that the associations that I had with Tiny were negative. All of the amazing accomplishments Tiny had, for whatever reason, she only associated to what went wrong. She only associated with what she did wrong, or who she wasn't, or that she wasn't enough. And I know we all have those moments where we feel that way, right? Let me know in the comments, #IFeelYou, if you felt that way before. And the truth is, it is your identity that is causing this disrupt in your reality, in your experience. Let's talk about what's known as a cognitive bias. A cognitive bias is a mistake in reasoning based on personal experience or preferences, which means because of your experiences, now you've created this notion about yourself, and that becomes your identity. Is that cognitive bias even true? Remember the little kid that called me fat when I was a child, right? That affected me. And for years, I labeled myself as that. But was it really true? See, your identity is nothing but a cognitive illusion, meaning you get to change it whenever you want. What's a cognitive illusion? A cognitive illusion are assumptions made while interacting with the world, which result in unconscious inferences. Which means, because you've experienced something once and gotten a certain result, now you expect that same experience if you try that same thing again. For example, you try Indian food for the first time and you go and you have a terrible experience. The food wasn't bad, but you had a terrible experience and I don't like Indian food. Now you've put a label on Indian food because of one bad experience that you've had. And anytime someone introduces you to something new, you're like, I don't like Indian food. And it's not the food, it was the experience that left a bad taste in your mouth. So that is a cognitive illusion. Now you're making inferences based on that one experience that you will never like Indian food because of that one time that you didn't enjoy yourself. Drop some fire emojis in the comments if you're with me. The thing is, we do that about ourselves when it comes to our identity. Identity is the strongest force in human personality. It is the ability to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. So what that means is, if you define yourself as someone who is honest, right? But you lie sometimes. Every time you lie, what you're doing is you're taking some deposits out of your trust bank. What's your trust bank? So whenever you have a relationship with anyone, including yourself, you have a bank of trust. Every time someone does something for you or in support of you, that adds a little bit of to the trust fund, right? We'll call it the trust fund, right? Let's say, for example, we're friends and I call and check up on you after you left my house just to make sure you got home safe. That is a trust fund deposit. I put a little bit more trust into the deposit for you. Now you see me as more compassionate and, caring and a true friend, right? So we have the same trust fund with ourselves. If you tell yourself that you are honest and you lie sometimes, every time you lie, you're taking some out of your trust savings and you have less and less trust in yourself. And so what happens if you take everything out of your trust savings? Now you have nothing left and you're still telling everyone that you're honest. What does that create mentally? What does that create in your identity? It's going to create depression. It's going to create even more lack of self-worth because it's like, oh, I can't even keep my word to something that I said, right? If you don't have trust in yourself, you're not going to be able to love yourself. That dissonance is created when your definition for who you are doesn't match the habits for who you are. So if you say that you want to be this organized person, but your habits are very disorganized, you're going to feel like a failure, like you failed, like you're not able to succeed in being organized because you've labeled yourself as that, and now you're putting pressure to live up as that. But the truth is, that's not who you are. So when it comes to identity, because we have these cognitive illusions and cognitive biases, we have to really be honest with ourselves and where we are at in our journey. Are you honest with yourself? That's the question. And wherever you are, honey, it's okay. It's okay to be where you are. The truth is, are you willing to do what it takes to grow, change, and evolve? So here's an amazing tool for you to really help build your self-worth and to knock out any of those limiting beliefs or labels that you've created for yourself. I want you to get a pen and paper because write this down. You're going to have to use this many, many times in your life. It is a huge tool and a huge asset. So I'll give you a second right now. Go get a pen and paper. Okay, you should have gotten your pen and paper by now. When you have a limiting belief, ask yourself these 3 questions. Is it really true? Do you have all the facts? Do you have all the points? Do you have all the information? Chances are, no, that's not true. No, I don't have all the facts. No, I don't have all the information. It could be a common misconception. It could be another perspective that I could look at it from, right? So that's the first question. Is it really true? Question number 2, how does it make me feel to tell myself that I am not enough? When I was growing up with my dad or without my dad, I had that thought often that I wasn't enough, that I had to do certain things to be enough, to be considered enough. Are you going through something similar? How does it make you feel to tell yourself that? It could be that I can't start a business because I don't have enough time. It could be that I am not equipped to do a certain job. It could be that I am not capable. It could be anything. What is it for you? And how does it make you feel? Really pull out the pain. How's it gonna make me feel over 10 years of holding myself back? Over 15 years, over 20 years? 20 years from today, I'm still holding myself back because of this one belief that I've created based on my cognitive illusion. How does that make you feel? Okay? Number 3, if this belief never existed, what would you do? How would you behave? How would you act? Right? If I never believed that I wasn't enough, how would I behave? Probably more confidently. Probably I'd be a bigger risk taker. I'd probably go after my dreams. Right? And ask yourself these questions. Bust that limiting belief. And this is an important step. Make a new one. And after you make a new belief, I am enough. Give yourself reasons why. I am enough because I have been placed on this earth. I am a spiritual being. I am magnificent. I am enough because I am an amazing person. I love so strong, so hard. I give to others. I show up for life. I am enough because I smile at people even when they're having a bad day. I put good into the world. Why are you enough? And when it comes to your identity, when it comes to what you tell yourself, let it be positive. Let it be empowering. Let it take you to the next level. Because the truth is, whatever it is you tell yourself is. Okay? So tell yourself good things. You deserve it. A couple quick announcements. If you enjoy this type of content and you want a more conversational kind of setting and you want other people who are going along their journey as well, join us for Cosmic Convos. Me and my partner, Sahat, we go live every other Thursday. Last Thursday was such an amazing and transforming experience. Also, I have a free masterclass on Thursday, this Thursday, May 5th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Central. I am going to basically help you figure out what the blind spot is and how to create lasting change in your life and maintain balance. It's going to be an amazing, transforming, quick little masterclass. It is free. So the link is down below. The link for Cosmic Convos and the link for my free masterclass this coming Thursday is down below. Make sure you sign up and join us there. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. You have an amazing, magical, magnificent, and manifesting day. Asè and Namaste. Right.